All right, welcome back to the greenhouse. So this week we're going to talk about tulips. I do have a video last year in how to take care of your tulip bulbs after they've flowered. I dig mine up. Because I had the thought process, because in Holland, they are obviously growing these bulbs and selling them, so there's got to be a way to get them to rebloom because everybody says, oh, the next year or 2 or 3 years later, all they get are leaves. And that's true. I find that does happen. The first year they do wonderful, and then the next year you may get some blooms, but mostly leaves, and then third and fourth years it's just mostly just foliage. So I've been digging mine up for a couple of years to experiment if my theory is actually accurate or not. And this year I had awesome blooms. They were some of the best that I've had in a long time. So I think that this theory that I have is holding true. That, obviously somebody grows these bulbs that we buy in the stores. So why aren't they getting leaves all the time? So I dig them up after, like I say, after they start looking sad, or if I've harvested them for my clients for bouquets. And then I had let these dry because I thought that I was going to get to them, and I didn't, but they look really good. So when you dissect a bulb, you'll have the central stem, and then these little bulbs, but they look like garlic cloves, grow around the stem, much like hardneck garlic here in the Northeast. So I take the bulbs off of the central stem. This one's already formed the nice hard outer skin. These ones I did earlier. Sorry I didn't include you in on this, but I thought people understood my first video and what I was talking about. But I've had several people reach out to me again this year after buying bulbs or got gifts from me personally and didn't know what to do with the bulbs, or if they should throw them away, or if they should save them, or if they should keep them in the pot. You can keep them in the pot, but they kind of, these were kept in the ground, and these are really mushy. I think that I can get them dried out and save them, but they didn't get bigger. They actually, I feel like, are smaller for some reason because they've been constantly wet. We did have a lot of rain. I don't know. Well, gardening, it's not the same thing every single year. So I did this last year, took them out of the pots when I was done with them, because I did a lot of forced tulips and sold forced tulips for Easter and Mother's Day. And then I cut the stems off and then took the bulbs apart. So when I'm separating them, I just I feel like a quarter size or up, you're going to get a flower next year. It's not a guarantee, but the likelihood is a lot better than if they were smaller than that. So I make a quarter size and like this, and if they don't fall through, then I keep those to plant out in the fall, like the bulbs that you buy. Over the summer, I just store them in a cardboard box that's got plenty of ventilation. You could do a weaved basket. As long as there's good airflow around, you don't seal it, because these are still living and need to breathe and you know, cure, and they don't cure if they don't have any airflow. So yeah, let's do some of these together and I'll show you how I separate them. I did end up keeping bulbs that were even small, and I did get mostly leaves from ones that were this size or smaller. I did get a few tiny blooms, but I'm going to dig those ones up here pretty soon, in the next day or two, cure those bulbs and then take them apart, and hopefully they're bigger than they were last year, and I'll plant those out again, and the bulb keeps getting bigger and bigger. And I say it's the same bulb, but it's really not. Like I said before, where the flower comes from that bulb, but then the flower will come from this bulb next year, but bulbs will form around it. So the bulbs that we're saving are actually had been grown for, you know, through that growing season. So they'll typically be on the smaller size. But occasionally you'll get some nice big ones. I mean, this one is huge. So I'll guarantee some flowers next year, I think. My likelihood is pretty high. But let's try some of these mushier ones and see how those look. If they feel like they're not going to be small. I think last year I did keep some in the pots too, and I remember commenting about how mushy that outer skin gets. So as soon as I would say as soon as the flowers are spent, dig them up, pull them up, roots and all, set them on top of the garden. That's what I did with these ones, and they've actually were out in some rain, but we've had some nice drying winds here the last few days. Oh, it's not too bad. It was just the outer part that got really mushy. But I feel like if I had kept that like that in the ground, they would have rotted, and I probably wouldn't have any flowers at all. So let's see how big that one is. Oh, that one's gonna probably flower for me next year. All of these, I'm not separating them into a variety. I don't know what variety these were. Somebody gave me them that didn't want as many tulips anymore. So I don't know what they are. They were a nice, pretty pinky red color. So I might give them my own name when I go to sell these bulbs this fall. We'll just call them whatever I want to call them. So like that. Oh, that's another good one. And you might say, well, then what happens if it's actually a different name? So it's kind of, that's how it is in the gardening world. Sometimes the bulbs or the flowers that you're buying from one company are a different name from another company. So, and they're the exact same flower or this exact same bulb. So I guess we don't really technically know what the names are of some of these plants. Oh, I'm excited. I've got quite a few big ones. So I'm just going to keep doing this today and separating them. I don't want to bore you to death, but that's how I am treating my tulip bulbs. And feel free to message me, comment, share with your flower loving friends. That really helps me, and I know that you like what I'm showing. So come back into the greenhouse and I'll talk with you again next week.